Today, we're exploring the staggering scale and the intense exclusivity of the FIFA World Cup. You know, when we look at this tournament, we aren't just looking at a simple series of sporting games. Now, we're looking at a massive, undeniably global phenomenon. Its physical and historical footprint is almost impossible to comprehend, and yet the ultimate prize is incredibly scarce. We're going to unpack exactly how an event grows to captivate billions of people while keeping its ultimate reward locked away for only a select few. By the time we finish, you're going to view this legendary tournament in a completely new light.
We're going to look at some truly staggering numbers today. But to kick us off, do you know the craziest facts about football's biggest tournament? Now, you might think you know the general history of the sport, but when we lay the underlying data out piece by piece, a completely different, much more fascinating story emerges about scarcity and scale. Okay, let's dive into this.
Section 1. The very first champion. So we're anchoring ourselves in the early 20th century. Starting way back in 1930, the tournament had its remarkably humble inception. Now remember, this was an era before commercial air travel, meaning European teams had to spend literally weeks traveling by ocean liner just to participate. It was an absolute logistical mountain to climb, and only 13 nations took part. But shortly after, we see a massive leap up to 1950, a year that forever altered the history books. This 20-year span is absolutely foundational to grasping how rapidly the tournament exploded. It really marks the transition from a bold experimental competition into a post-war global phenomenon that would soon captivate the entire world.
And Uruguay holds a permanent, unshakable place in that history. They didn't just host those difficult inaugural games. Uruguay actually became the very first champion in 1930. Regardless of what happens in the future of the sport or how massive the tournament becomes, they set the absolute gold standard for every single nation that followed. That initial victory cemented their legacy for sure. It proved that a nation fueled by passion and local support could actually conquer the world stage, setting the precedent for the extreme, almost mythical level of competition we see today.
Section 2. Record-breaking crowds. 173,000. Wow. Just imagine the sheer mass of humanity. During the 1950 World Cup, over 173,000 fans packed into a single stadium. I mean, think about the logistics of that moment for a second. This was way before modern crowd control, before digital ticketing, and definitely before all-seater stadiums. The immense weight, the deafening roar, the shared, concentrated energy of that many people gathered to watch a single match of football. It was the Maracanã Stadium, and the atmosphere must have been an absolute wall of sound. It's truly staggering to try and wrap your head around that level of concentrated human emotion in one single physical space.
It's an unbelievable record that actually still stands today, and this brilliantly illustrates the historical staying power of that 1950 moment. Think about all the massive, billion-dollar, state-of-the-art megastadiums built in the modern era. Because of our advanced modern engineering, and obviously much stricter safety and seating regulations, today's largest stadiums are generally capped around 80 to 90,000 people. So despite the sport's massive global growth and technological advancements, that incredible crowd size from over 70 years ago is mathematically virtually impossible to beat. It remains a monolithic monument to a totally different era of the sport.
Section 3. The greatest individual record.
Pelé. The name is completely synonymous with football itself. When we talk about the greatest players in the history of the sport, well, he permanently anchors the conversation. He didn't just participate, he completely dominated the history of the tournament and captured the imagination of the entire world. Pelé brought a level of artistry, joy, and raw, unprecedented talent that fundamentally redefined what was possible on the pitch. He really transformed the sport into the beautiful game for millions of fans, elevating the tournament from a mere sporting event into a true showcase of human athletic genius.
Let's move to and see how this builds. 3. Pelé remains the single solitary player in the entire history of the sport to win 3 World Cups. When you consider the grueling physical toll of the sport, the constant threat of injuries, the impossibly fierce global competition, and the simple fact that the tournament only happens once every 4 years, yeah, 3 victories is a monumental testament to his enduring greatness. It requires not just being the best in the world for one magical summer, but actually maintaining that impossible peak across 12 years and multiple generations of players.
Section 4. Football's most exclusive club.
Brazil is the most successful nation ever, having won the tournament 5 separate times. Now, what's really interesting about this is the sheer dominance it represents. Securing 5 World Cup trophies elevates them to an elite status that literally no other country has ever touched. They are the undeniable gold standard of consistent generational success on the world stage. Because, to win 5 times means your footballing culture is capable of producing not just one lucky golden generation, but an ongoing, relentless assembly line of world-class talent decade after decade. But here's where we get to the absolute craziest fact of all. Over the course of the tournament's history, more than 80 different nations have participated. We're talking about entire countries pouring their hearts, their financial resources, and their absolute elite athletic talent into this global pursuit. Yet despite that immense pool of competitors, only 8 countries have actually ever won. So the crucial point is the staggering scarcity of ultimate victory. Despite the dreams of billions of people across over 80 nations, only 8 countries have ever managed to lift that trophy. It's an almost unbelievably exclusive club that highlights just how phenomenally difficult it is to actually break through and become a champion.
And this brings us to our final thought for today's explainer. We've seen unbreakable, monumental attendance records of 173,000 fans, individual legends capturing 3 titles across a dozen years, and the shocking reality that nearly a century of fierce global competition has yielded only 8 champions. It leaves us with a truly provocative question. With billions of people investing their hopes every 4 years and the sheer global scale of the tournament ever expanding, what does it truly take for a brand new nation to finally break into that impossibly exclusive circle of 8? Which World Cup fact surprised you the most? Drop a comment below, and don't forget to subscribe for more football content. Thanks for learning with me today, and I'll see you next time.